Alright, quick check. Looks like we're good. I'm getting levels, I'm getting bevels, I'm getting all the things. Not getting the devil. Hello and welcome to the channel. Blake here for Little Regret, and I hope that you guys are having a fantastic Tuesday. I had to get some work done, had to get a few things straightened up, and I'm just now getting caught up on sleep after our little debacle at the 24 Hours of Spa, but very happy with how that race turned out. But that's not today. Today is a little bit more unwinding, relaxing. I was honestly thinking about getting on playing some GT7, but Gran Turismo 4 seemed like the one, so let me make sure that everything is copacetic over here on Twitch. It is not. I changed it. I changed everything on my software. Didn't go through. Sometimes that just is what happens. We'll keep the endurance racing tags because those are still classic. Oh, it didn't save those. Save those. Save that. Alright, cool. Should update that. Should be all good. Alright, so with that said, I'm glad I was able to check that, figure it out. We'll go ahead and just jump straight into the stream since everything else looks to be ready. Should be able to see the chat reasonably well, yep. All good there. We'll go ahead and just jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and pause my music for a second. I have it running for the races since I don't want to be running too much licensed stuff. Since YouTube doing YouTube things, don't want to run all that licensed music. But yeah, outside of that, we're looking good. I already set all of the settings, so it should be all right there. What's going on, Juan? Hope you're having a great start to your day, or a great end to your day, wherever you're at. We're gonna go ahead and get our championship continued. Like I said, we're gonna be doing some race management on this one. So we're gonna be throwing it fully in B-Spec. And doing the 1,000 Miles Championship, or the Mille Miglia for those who are initiated. And it's a bunch of incredibly long races on some European tracks, and it is genuinely an easy way to make money without having a license at all, which that's part of the way I'm playing the game, is we're not doing any of the not getting any of the licenses. We're doing all the races we can without any license. As far as we can go, either until we kind of soft lock based on not having enough money or enough skill to be able to make it, or until we finish all of the races that don't require a license, and then we're going to go and get our B license, all gold that, and then move on with our lives and just keep going from there and there on. Anyways, I also need to switch over. So, since this is going to be B-Spec, we're not going to worry too much about qualifying. We got plenty of time to make up that gap. We got 99 laps of Côte d'Azur, otherwise known as Monaco. Good to see you in the chat, Jack. Not quite GT6, unless I did something wrong. Yeah, it should be GT4. Anyway, but yeah, taking it all the way back. And I was going to mess with some stuff in settings for the car, but I really don't think we need to do much. Just make sure we're on the right tires and go. Also, these tires last a freaking eternity, so I'm going to put it on the mediums instead of the hards. And just, yeah, that'll be that. Making just over 100 horsepower. You're going to have fun. Anyways, we should be able to beat all these cars pretty easily, except for the Alfa Romeo that's starting in third. So they'll be our main source of competition. But until then, we're just going to have a fun race. So, I'm going to try and get this guy up to the front of the pack as best we can. Then put it on fast forward and relax. Go ahead and play my music. I hope your afternoon or evening or night might be dead into night over there. But I hope it's going well for you. Go ahead and tell him to overtake. Leave him on pace 3 because he seems to be making quite a few mistakes, even on the lower pace settings. Should be easy enough to get around this Carmen Gia. That's up to 5th. The Fiat 500 should already be starting to fall behind now. So they're only topping out at 64 miles an hour. Yeah, 99 laps, so yeah, starting to question my life decisions, but we're going to be doing the 100% run, so you go on 100%, you got to win these races. So far, we won the first 2. Can't seem to get around this Honda. But B-Spec Bob's going to have to do it. I'm not going to be jumping in to intervene for this one, which is good and bad. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward now so we can get a little bit of a jump on things. Si poco momento. Oh, and up to 3rd now. And we are 5 seconds off the... or no, 3 seconds off the lead now. It's an improvement. We can catch the Marcus. The Marcus always tends to pit first out of this group. So we'll see how long his lasts. We'll tell him to overtake. Might have been a small collision there. Going around the Alfa Romeo Giulia. Just have one more car to overtake. Tell him to overtake now. The time seems about right. Get him done on the way into the chicane. All right. Oh, not quite. Another position swap. I guess he cooked it a little too hard. Anyways, the good news is, yeah, these laps... oh, God, the lap times are 2 minutes and change just around Monaco. On what is traditionally one of the shortest circuits on the F1 calendar. So, even on X3 speed, that's probably going to be like 40 or 50 seconds a lap. Which means we are going to be here a while. So let's settle in, grab popcorn, grab snacks, grab a drink. Got some water myself, so we're going to get right into it. Hopefully this fool won't keep crashing into stuff. Yeah, we're already starting to gap the rest of the field, so the important part now is to make it stick. And get through the race as quickly as humanly possible. Be easier to create that gap if we were doing this in A-Spec, but B-Spec is going to be a lot easier to just get through the race. And I'm not going to do any of that foolishness I did last time where it's like, oh, you know... they're having trouble crashing, or they're having trouble this, or they're having trouble that. They're just going to have to sink or swim on their own, and they'll pit in for tires when it's time to pit in for tires. None of that fake damage bullet that I was doing last time. It's going to have them cruise to victory. Maintain a gap and do little else. Seems like the Alfa Romeo is starting to pull on the Mini Marcus a little bit now. But who? If you can just pull out a good gap and hold it in an endurance race, sometimes that's all you need. It's the only thing you need. So we'll see if they can maintain or even extend further. It seems like the gap is still going up right now. Even though I have them on the slowest setting. That's honestly all we need. No mistakes, good pace, commitment. So yeah, it's fluctuating, but if we can hold around 10 seconds, I'm happy. Just say, it gives me time to interact with the chat. Exactly, exactly. Things I wasn't already doing. But we shall have plenty of time. We've got about 12 minutes already elapsed into the race. And I expect these are taking right around 3 hours, seems like. So, it's going. So 12 minutes out of 3 hours so far. It should be still, even with that, you know, we're still gonna be sat here an hour just looking at these screens and watching the pit strategy, managing the race. Playing F1 Manager before F1 got involved. GT Manager before GT got involved. The original. The original. The classic. But yeah, they're still holding that gap though, even though we've got them slowed down on slow setting. Maybe we'll go to hard tires after this, because what we'll see is the tires will hit green in the top right corner, which I'm hoping you guys can see the top right corner pretty well. But those tires will hit green, and then ultimately after that, what are they going to do? Whole lot of nothing. They're just going to kind of sit there. And then eventually they'll start to turn yellow, but it's going to take us a while before we hit that point. We'll be lucky to see 2 pit stops. We will be very lucky to see 2 pit stops. The more you do with D-Sec doesn't make the driver better. Yes, that is correct. So they get to build up the skill level. I don't know if that still counts if you do like mixed A-Spec and B-Spec. If it still increases their skill level, because I know it doesn't give you A-Spec points if you do mixed A and B. So this is also part of that, is I want to make this guy better and give him some seat time just purely by himself. Raise that B-Spec skill level so that they are more of a resource later on. Particularly for the longer races, particularly for the endurance races, where we're not going to have this kind of advantage all the time. I got very lucky to have a pull for this race where there was no Shelby Cobra. Because if you have the Shelby Cobra, they pit way more often. But they're also just so much faster than you in general that it kind of doesn't matter. They can keep that pit delta open pretty much the entire time. You may only have to do 2 pit stops, and they may have to do 15, but they'll close that 30 or 40 seconds that they're doing at every pit within the space of a stint. So it doesn't. It's just null and void. Let me see if I can... So yeah, that's a little easier to see. Now, if you look kind of through the chat window, that is, you can see lap numbers, how many pits, sector times, all that. It seems like the Alfa Romeo is actually doing a little bit better than us in the second and third sectors in general, but we've got the fastest first. And we've got a good 1,000-foot gap. So that makes me happy. And if we can, again, like I said, if we can maintain this, I'm not going to have them go fast. I'm just going to have them do the best that they can. B-Spec Berlinetta. We're going to be here for a while. So I think I went slightly overkill with the car. Right thing to do, but slightly overkill. We burned off 1 dot of fuel so far after we've gotten about 1/10 of the way through the race. So we go on to lap 12. It's already been 25 in-game minutes. But also that's relatively nothing. At any rate, I'm going to be taking some breaks through all of this while the race just continues to run in the background as needed. But hopefully an hour won't be too long. And if that's the case, we're still going to be involved in this championship, but I'm probably not going to do another whole race on here. That doesn't seem sensible, if you ask me. Unless we really are still feeling it. Because staring at a screen like this for 2 hours just seems like utter and complete nonsense. Unless I might be able to turbo this thing, but I don't know. And when I say turbo, I mean the game, not the car. Just so we're not sitting here quite as long. But yeah, this guy's just gapping the field regardless of the fact that he's going as slow as he can. Just keeping a nice constant pace. I can respect that. But I did throw a little bit of extra power at this car. I think I did. I don't remember if I did or did not take out weight. I think it might still be at stock weight, but I definitely added some power in, so went from like 90. Was it 90 to begin with, or was it like closer to 60? I want to say it was closer to 60, but it's right at 100 horsepower now, as you are aware. So we went over at the start of the stream. The good news is the B-Spec driver is in fact getting better. It's what we need. What are the tires looking like? They're still very green, as planned, as mentioned. So if we can get past 35 laps into the stint, then there might be hope that this will only be a one-stop. The real question is, are we going to lap the Fiat soon? The answer is yes. Oh, we're still not around him. Take care of this loser. So quote Ridge Racer 4. We can't continue to stay caught up behind him. Because, yeah, that gap has come right down. Went from 13 seconds to 6 seconds just as we got caught behind the Fiat. I wasn't even paying attention. Which means I gotta pay attention. The hope is that they'll also get caught up behind him. But I may have to tell him to increase the pace if I'm not careful. Because it looks like, yeah, they've already gotten around. Or not? I'm not certain. Yeah, now they for sure have. Ooh. Yeah, last lap was a 2:21. So slowed down almost 10 seconds just from being caught up behind another car. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. And then immediately goes back and does a 2:11. And that gap is still stretching right back out. So 10 seconds, again, 1,000 feet, right where we want it. And it seems like we should be able to not only maintain it, but extend it. Yeah, we're, like I said, just going to be here quite a while. Now, I want to see if I can increase the pace a little bit, have them go faster and see what they can do, but also do not want them to just be crashing and bashing and all the things. But I will tell them to go faster, just so if we can get any extra pace out of the lap, that helps our case. Ooh, looks like they sounded like they had something down there. So they're really not good at the chicanes. They're not good at the driving at all. It's gonna run right into walls. That was a 2:15. After I told him to go faster, he goes slower. I'd love to highlight the races that are going on towards the back, but we would be here forever if we did that. It seems okay. So I'm going to keep telling him to slow down for that hair, for the What is it? Lowe's hairpin? No. I have my corner names mixed up. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell him to slow down coming through the tunnel, though. Point blank period. He's going slower on 2 than he was on 1. Yeah, imagine having to do 20 laps like this. Alright, he's in the bridge. Tell him to slow down. Thing of beauty. Made it through with no issues whatsoever. Let's see that lap time now. So that's our goal. Our goal is to get him on the fastest possible lap time, point blank period, until the tire starts to fall off. So 2:11.1. I don't know if that was the best, but it looks like it. Yeah, at any rate, we're all still stuck here in space and time. So we just got a lot to figure out as this guy gets around. What's a lap time? 2:10, 6:30. New PB, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, indeed. So we just need to kind of keep repeating those lap times. We burn up the tires when we're doing so. I'm fine with that. So we got our 12-second gap going. But we know the weak areas of the AI, and we know the strong areas. So that said, I think I'm going to try and tell them to go even faster and figure out where else they want to crash. I'm going to do that at the start of the lap. I'm just trying to do it purely off audio cues. 11.484, huh? I wish they wouldn't shift down to what's it called, to first, because you can hear how long it takes the car to shift from first to second, even at triple speed. Fiat 500F is finally coming in. And they're still going to come out ahead of us. Damn it all. 2:10.1. All right, that's even better. Seems like his tires are finally starting to burn up a little bit. Anyway, I guess we're starting to get to that point in the race where we gotta find other things to talk about outside of the race itself, because there's not gonna be a whole lot to discuss. But I guess we can kind of debrief from the Spa 24, because I didn't get to stream that one on YouTube, mainly due to how my live push stuff is set up. I only have a limited number of hours that I can do, and obviously a 24-hour race, 24-hour stream would exceed my monthly allowance in a single day. So that was suboptimal, we'll say. 2:13 was a lap. And didn't want to do that. Wanted to keep things pushing on live push, even if it is getting towards the end of the month. So I just did that one on Twitch. VOD is still up if you want to go over to twitch.tv/LowRegret if you feel like doing such things. Carmen Gia and the Mini Marcus both came into pit. Looks like the Marcus is out. Carmen Gia is still in. They might beat us out of the pit. They're going to beat us out of the pits. So you got to get ready to overtake them. So yeah, whole thing's over there. I ended up starting that race, and I drove about 7 hours total, which is... didn't really feel like a pain in the moment. The only stint that was really challenging from a physical perspective was the final one, because I was just so dog tired and I had not really slept the entire time that I was racing, or the entire time the event was going on. I got like 4 hours of sleep the night before. I stayed up till 11. I woke up at like 3 in the morning to make sure I could get the team sign up ready and I could get the stream ready. So I did both of those things. Probably about 4:30 by the time I was good to go. And the race didn't start, or the session didn't start until 5 a.m. So that was a great time. Dead tired, no problem whatsoever. But getting into it, I was on a voice call with one of my other teammates. We were just talking through strategies. Actually, my first time meeting the guy. He was a friend of one of my other teammates who decided he wanted to run the race with us. I need to slow him down there. Keep forgetting. Friend of my other teammate came on to join us for the race since we needed a fourth. All worked out great. It was actually quite a bit of fun, but this guy hadn't done any practice in the rain, so didn't want to take any rain stints, and we were expecting some rain later in the race.
Bravo, sir.
Jam Pack, thank you so much for the follow. Very brave of you to do so, as my alter ego pointed out. But yeah, and what was I saying? Something to the effect of they didn't want to do rain. And like on iRacing, I don't blame them. I do not blame them one bit. The rain is treacherous on there. It will ruin your day if you're not prepared for it. Because you really have to adopt an entirely different driving line and driving style, but mainly driving line, to survive there. And it really is what makes the rain one of the best in the business right now when it comes to sim racing, if you ask me. So I really like it. Rear tires are starting to get kind of hot, starting to get a little worn out. There's no other GT4 streamer now. Well, I guess I have a bit of a monopoly on it then. It's good for me, but I'm just gonna do GT4 because I enjoy GT4, and I've never 100% of the game. I've gotten pretty far to a point where I felt like I beat it. You know, I finished the Gran Turismo World Championship on here, which is no small feat. But yeah, so I just continue. I'm gonna 100% this time. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put up with all the one make events and all the BS. Rain stints, right? Thank you, Jack. I appreciate you. Yeah, we got fortunate though. No rain at the start. Nothing to worry about there. I was a little bit faster than the guy who I was in the call with, so I decided to qualify and start the race. Put the car P40. P40 out of 49 drivers, so not very promising. I was slow. I couldn't put a lap. Well, I wouldn't say I couldn't put a lap together. I would just say that I was just slower. I was just slower. No GT5. No promises. No promises. There's a chance I may have access to a PlayStation 3 in the near future, or a PS3 emulator or something. But until then, I'm not going to make any promises I'm going to play it. But I do like that game. I did 100% that one back in the day. And I also know that that is a time commitment. Huge time commitment. So I'm not certain I want to do that. I'm going to have my hands full just doing GT4 anyway. So I'm not going to lock that one in yet. Can we get this overtake done, please? Come on, I know you can do it. Anyways, 24 hours of Spa, start the race, P40. And as you can imagine, even though it's a 24-hour race, everyone's running that first stint like it's a sprint race. So you're jockeying for position, you're fighting. I'm just trying to stay safe by and large, stay out of trouble, not be the one to die out early. But I'm still being racy. There's still, you know, like, it's still a race, so... There is another car. GT5 I didn't get a chance to play because I was always deployed. Ah, I feel you. GT5 is a good game, too. Like, I 100%ed it because I really enjoyed GT5. And I think that I always liked the Gran Turismo games as a kid, because GT3 came out when I was 5. And I didn't have a true appreciation for it when I was that young. But after GT4 came out, I started to really appreciate this. I started to really appreciate GT3. And then GT5 came out and is a done deal. Like, that was where I would quote say got addicted. Where like the series just like hooked it in and it's like, you're a GT player now. Like you're a GT player now. Like that's who you are. And it was a great game. It was a fantastic game. We're gonna have to pit in soon. And it's lap 33. We're a third of the way through the race. We're gonna have to pit in soon. So if I got the chance, I would love to. I actually do know one of my close friends is going back through GT5. I might try and convince them to stream it, just because like it is a really fun game, and also like I want to see their journey through it. So if that does happen, they're definitely linked on my profile. It's Captain Trueblood on Twitch, so you'll see their stuff come up below my stuff, and my channel will host their channel if they're live. I'll throw a link somewhere on YouTube if I can manage. Oh, pass her position. The Carmen Gia got around the Honda. That's interesting, actually. You like all the Gran Turismos except for 5 because you didn't get to play it and don't know anything about it. Yeah, it's... I would say that GT5 is where the series definitely took a turn. A lot of people would say for the worse. I would say it took a turn for the different. Definitely less races than GT4. Less stuff going on in the main campaign, but still plenty of stuff to do. Like, lots of stuff still to do between special events and challenges and endurance races and all of your mainline stuff. Oh, coming into the pits. One moment. Do we want to go long? I say we go long. Why not? No fuel. Oh. They're waiting on me. Long pit stop because of the manager. My bad. Which I don't think we have a huge gap to second either. So I have to be careful about these things. Though I also did kind of start going on a tangent and stop focusing on the race because clearly we had it in the bag. Alright. We're out. And we do have a minute gap to second. So like even B-Spec. Even B-Spec is going to be great. Like, I don't even need to bother with these races anymore. I'm just going to do it this way. Hell, for the next race, what I might do is I might actually still split it up so it's part driving, part B-Spec. But I'm going to detune the car. I'm just going to detune the car. That's it. That's all. I think it'll be funny. I think it'll be funny to have a more evenly matched race. And we'll have to actually work for it. And then I'll have my heart in my mouth because a B-Spec driver can't keep up. Anyways, I was talking about GT5. You still have 9 events in each little in each series. So like you have your beginner, amateur, professional, expert, and extreme series. So you still have 9 event types in each one, 9 championships, you could say. Some of them are just single race affairs, some of them are actual championship things with points. Effectively 9 series or 9 race types in each series. And then you have special events beyond that and other things to do within the game. 1,000 cars. 1,000 cars. You actually see a lot of cars from GT4 make a reprise or a reprise, however you want to pronounce that. So like the Ginetta G4 in GT5. Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint in GT5. Marcus GT in GT5. All of these pretty much in GT5. Because they're all the PS2 era models that exist on that game. So you have all of those PS2 era cars on there as, quote, standard cars. And then you have your PS3 era models, which are in, you know, high definition, full rendered interiors and all the glory in premium cars, of which there are 200 compared to the 700 or actually 700 or 800 in standard cars. Also, sorry, I think my audio is peaking a little bit. Mess with that. Just turn that down a hair. Yeah, and I need to overtake this guy too. It's definitely one of those games that'll keep you busy. Oh, there's one other thing that'll keep you busy. Because A-Spec is in one side of the campaign, and B-Spec is an entirely separate campaign. So you can't cross-pollinate like I'm doing in GT4. They are their own separate entities. And also, the career structure is the exact same for both A-Spec and B-Spec. But the B-Spec races are all twice the length of the A-Spec races. So they kind of waste your time. They kind of waste your time. Also, why am I holding a screwdriver? I don't know. I just always have one handy so I can swap out my wheel rim. So I guess for funsies, I'm going to swap out my wheel rim. Because why not? And yeah, and that's pretty much GT5. Like, I would say more, but I think that it's better experienced. Oh, another thing that I will say, you don't need any licenses whatsoever in GT5. Licenses are completely redundant. They fixed that for GT6, but they made the licenses an entirely redundant thing in GT5 because there are too many complaints about them being too hard or just not engaging. So they said, oh, bet? We're just going to take them out then. And they put everything behind a leveling system. And the leveling system honestly does suck. Like, I take that back. I take that last statement back. The leveling system doesn't inherently suck. It's actually a half-decent idea that has very poor execution. Because you would think, oh, well, they have a leveling system. You can only do certain events at certain levels. That's absolutely correct. That is true. But what else do they lock behind levels? Cars and car purchases. So you, as a player, can't buy a car that you want, even if you have the money for it, because you haven't progressed far enough in the game. Also, another thing, you have an individual level for A-Spec and an individual level for B-Spec. So that also stinks, because technically the game, as far as like the progression mechanic, it only looks at if you're in the A-Spec campaign, it looks at your A-Spec level. If you're in the B-Spec campaign, it looks at your B-Spec level. And if you're buying a car, it just looks at the higher of the, like, whichever one's the highest out of the two, I think. I'm not certain. I've never done the B-Spec campaign exclusively, but I think that if you have a high B-Spec level, you can buy a car that is at that level. I think. Because it would be pretty broken if you couldn't. It'd be pretty actually messed up. But it also means that you, at the beginning of the game, and I forget about this because this was literally, it's nuts to say 13 years ago. It was 13 years ago and then a few months. But at the beginning of the game, you have to buy a level 0 car because you are a level 0 player. So that is it. That is your option. That's all you can do. You can still do license test cheese, and I call it cheese because I abuse it. It's not really cheese. It's actually warranted. You can gold the licenses and still get a free car, effectively. If I remember correctly. Yeah, you can still get a free car for golding license tests. And go from there, like that. But with the leveling mechanic, you can only buy cars at your level, which means when you start the game, you have to buy a level 0 car. And the leveling is largely performance-related, which is great until it's not. It's sort of like oh, well, you're going to have to modify your car and make it better and do this and that and third until you get a high enough level to buy a car that would be at that level. Which sort of is like Need for Speed logic. Like, you know how, like, in Need for Speed, like, especially if you're talking Black Box era, actually, I'll specifically cite the Underground games. Like, Underground, Most Wanted, and Carbon. But mainly Underground and Most Wanted. You'll progress through the game and you'll unlock new cars as you beat events, right? So then what? Or, like, what if you are having trouble beating an event and you need a new car, but you haven't passed that threshold yet? You have to modify your car. You have to upgrade it. That's what they're trying to incentivize you to do. But yeah. If you don't need the licenses for GT5, then why would you even bother with them? Sorry, I'm going on huge tangents. I didn't even notice that came in like 3 minutes ago. Why would you even bother with them? Exactly. You understand the problem. Because they didn't think of that. They didn't think, oh, we're going to have something to make it so that license tests actually have some inherent value. No, they're just useless. They're just useless. You can completely bypass it. The only thing that you would need it for is if you actually want 100% the game, or get a trophy associated with getting all gold on everything, which is also a requirement for the Platinum Trophy. So, yeah. Because, of course, you know, being a Sony product, it's integrated with their trophies on PS3, so why not? Fiat's in the pits again. Fiat's out of the pits again. We're doing 213s now. And we're doing 213s comfortably. I'm going to leave the driver alone for a little while. I'm going to let them do their thing. We got time. We got a gap. We are in a comfortable place. Just let them do their thing. But yeah, leveling system. Net negative. Net negative. But not a terrible idea, just terrible execution. Don't extend the leveling system to the cars. Let the player regulate that on their own. Because I get that was a direct response to GT4 having that problem where you do the Costa Amalfi Rally and you get the Toyota RSC Rally Raid car, and then you sell it for a metric buttload of money, and then you rinse and repeat, and it's like all of a sudden you have a currency glitch. But that's a game design issue. That's a you problem, not a player problem. That's a designer problem. And they didn't fix that, so that's on them. And I get it. GT4 is a massive game in terms of scope. Massive game just in terms of a game. So, like, I could never hold that against them, especially as a GT simp, but, like, that's a them problem. 214 on the last lap. Let's see what this next one is. Let me see. GT5. We're almost halfway through the race, though. It's always good. Always good to be making that progress. Marcus comes into the pits. 216 on that last one. So that Alfa Romeo is slowly going to start catching us up unless we can manage the pace throughout the lap. So I'm going to have to start paying more attention. The press button simulator. So they try to close up that loophole with that whole thing, and they didn't. But other good things about GT5. They did have what was called an online dealership, which was just another version of the used car dealership that existed with, you know, specific makes and models, especially if they had seasonal events going on, which were just their... like, they would make events that you would do, that you play against the AI. And they would just be add-ons so that if you finish the main campaign or run out of content to do, there was still stuff to come back for, since it was, you know, an online game. And you also had your online play, of course, which just exists kind of in the same way that lobbies do currently in GT7. It was slightly more rudimentary, of course. Like, it was not as advanced, but, you know, similar thing. But yeah, there was that. They also had stuff like... They had some really cool implementation for features, like they tried to do GT TV and all this other stuff. What's going on, Oni? Good to see you, bud. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. As we live and breathe, I'm just finishing... I finished up some studying, got some guide stuff done for actually work, and now I'm just chilling. We got a 27-second gap to the car behind us, and halfway through the race. It's been almost 2 hours in-game time, though only 48 minutes of us streaming, which is still a staggering amount of time. But I've just been yapping the entire way through. Just yapping. I don't need to manage this race. My driver is good enough to do that without me. Yeah, and then, yeah, GT5 also had a couple online features like this thing called Remote Race, where effectively, like, you could take your B-Spec drivers from your single-player campaign and race them against other people's B-Spec drivers in an online-style race, and this would also be a great way to farm them for XP, which I definitely did back in the day because you had to, because, whew. I'll explain that in a bit, actually. I'll explain that in a second. But I use that to farm for XP. It's like a podcast with racing. Exactly. It's a great time. And actually, so I guess for a lot of the races on here, like if I know that I'm gonna be head and shoulders above the AI, and the B-Spec driver might do it, that's probably gonna be what this is. It's gonna be an excuse for me to talk more on stream, which is what I love to do anyway. If I'm not doing that part and just yelling at you, it's a verbal assault, and sometimes both. Oh, another passer position. VW is going to overtake the Honda again. They've been close this entire championship. I think actually one of them won Nürburgring, or one of them came fourth in Nürburgring, and the other one came fifth. And one of them, and they swapped positions, so they're in the same place right now. And this is the third race of the championship. Like, I'm literally not even on my game screen. I'm just staring at my OBS screen. Just making sure my levels and everything are good. Oh, yes, I forgot. There's more problems with the leveling system I forgot to mention. Because it's mostly linear. Like, with every race series, it's kind of structured so that... Well, let me back up a little bit. The leveling system is structured so obviously early levels, low amounts of XP, you need to cross over to the next threshold. Higher levels, high, gross amounts of XP, needed to get to the next levels. And then what do? You space out the races so that it kind of makes more sense, right? Absolutely. So I'm going through the races. Sunday Cup is a level 0 event, as you could probably imagine, for both A and B spec. So you do Sunday Cup. You get plenty of experience. You level up a couple of times. And so then you have enough for FF Challenge. Then you level up some more. And you have enough... And, like, you're already at level 4, even though FF Challenge is only a level 1 event. So you're like, okay, I now have some branching paths I can start to take in my career and do different things. And then you also start to figure out, oh, there are these special events, just like in GT4, same exact concept, that I can do. And they're also level locked, so as you continue to progress, you can unlock those. They're like invitations, almost. Which is actually pretty cool. Great concept. Again, poor execution, but great concept. So naturally you start getting up further and further, and you get to expert. You already have enough level to do all of the Extreme Series events. And then you realize that there's something beyond Extreme Series, which is the Endurance Series. Of course we need the Endurance Series. There's GT in the modern era doesn't exist without endurance racing, which is hilarious when you think that GT6 didn't really have endurance racing. It had fake endurance racing. They said, 24 hours is too long, we can't do it. Though, also, GT4 is a game where they obviously went to doing 24, like, full-length endurance races. Like, stuff that is tough for real people in the real world. Logistically challenging and mechanically challenging. Much less for the layperson who just enjoys cars. But Kaz said, nah, like, I want to do 24 hours. I'm going to get my buddies together, we're going to do a barbecue. It's going to be a great time. And for me, like, I have experiences that are congruent with that. But that's not every person. Like, it's pretty comical to say to a game that's largely being marketed to, like, 11 to 15-year-olds, be like, yeah, stay up for 24 hours. Fuck your responsibilities. This is my language. Go have fun. Be a race car driver. It's awesome to initiate them to that. But it's also really stupid to, like, make that a game progression mechanic. Because then you're going to have people sitting in front of a screen for a day, much like I just did. And then they have a little bit of 100% completion to show for it. Or if they're smart, they'll do B-Spec and then just try to make sure that every so often they come back down to the console or come back up to the console and put it back in triple speed so that the race takes less than 24 hours to do. Because, like, the thing is, even with GT4, like, it was a massive undertaking, and there's definitely flaws with it, but they tried to think through as many of the problems as they could before they dropped the game, before they released the game, before Sony made them release the game. GT5 does not feel that same way. There's, like, a lot of really good design decisions, there's a lot of really bad design decisions. He also realized it taxes the PS3 immensely. The menu load times are quite a thing. Like, GT6 had great menu loading times, but that's because that was a very specific point that they focused resources on in development, as opposed to trying to make the game the best from a gameplay perspective. They were trying to physically make it less taxing on the PS3. Anyway, back to what I was saying, because we're tangenting pretty hard, and we'll continue to do so, but we'll get back to that part. Yes, leveling, endurance races. So you get to the endurance races, you're going, you level up, you get to endurance races, and then instead of it being like, say, 1 or maybe 2 levels between like one series to the next, and you already having all the requisite experience to do them, you go up and it's like, oh, like there's like 2, 4, 5 level jumps. And mind you, this is like, you're already at level 26. So let me tell you how this impacted my gameplay. Let me give you a real world example. I got to Endurance Series and I was already well above the threshold for like the first 4 or 5 races. And remind you, there are only 9 of them. But also, there are 9 of them, so good, reasonable amount. So that happens, and then you realize that your leveling starts happening way more slowly at that point. Like, you'll go 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 races before you level up again, because there's such a big gap in the levels, obviously. So they're not anything like spring chickens anymore. You may only have 7 or 8 races to do left, because let's say you finish the first 2 endurance races. And you got a lot of leveling for them, because they were long, and they were process. But they're not getting you more than a couple of levels. And you're like, okay, this next one is level 35. Or actually, the second to last race is level 35. Okay, cool. I'm level 36. That makes sense. You see the problem already happening in real time, but you're like, okay, I made it to level 35. This second to last one is in fact a 24-hour race. I understand. Oh, this is hooked up. Shit. I didn't even realize my wheel is actively connected. That's hilarious. But like, I'm level 36, this is level 35. It's a 24-hour race, maybe I'll just get enough experience and be fine. No. I was level 37 by the end of that. Or level 37 or 38 or something. And I had to get through the biggest level humps in the entire game. And you know how I had to do that? I had to go back and grind old content. I had to basically do New Game Plus. Just to do the final race. Just to do the final race, which 24 hours Nürburgring, great time, absolutely loved it. I think that is a formative experience in my life, was doing the 24 hours Nürburgring on the PlayStation 3, on GT5. Like, there are memories burned into my mind from doing that, because instead of doing it over the period of, say, 24 hours, I was fortunate to start playing the 24-hour races after like the 2 some odd update of Spec 2 some odd update of GT5, where they implemented mid-race saves. You could go into the pits, save the game, say, hey, I'm gonna go live my life, and then come back to it. And all you do is you load up the game, or you start the game, it immediately loads into the race, and then it just after you turn off the console, of course, and you see the animation of the car coming into the pit once you start the race back, effectively, because it'll load up like the pre-race screen. But your options are continue and quit, obviously. There's nothing else you can do. and it loads you into the pit animation. You tell it what you want it to do. You get in and you go. And so that's what I would do. I'd do like 2 to 4 laps of Nürburgring. I'd wear down the tires. I would pit the car, and I would go live my life, and I would come back and I'd do some more. But what happened was, like I said, I had to do an entire well, not an entire, but I had to do a lot of New Game Plus-esque stuff just to get to the final, like, the other thing I neglected to mention is that level 40 is a maximum level in Gran Turismo 5. You can't go any further than level 40. Once you hit level 40, that's it. You're done. I'm gonna clip a lot of this. These I'm gonna turn these into shorts because this is hilarious. The second to last event, like I said, is level 35. The final event is level 40. You have to, I kind of implied this already, but you have to hit the highest possible point in experience. The highest possible point to do the final race in the campaign. Like, they could have made it level 38. They could have made it level 37. Level 40. Zero respect for the player and the player's time. In that decision alone. Like, no one obviously play tested up to that point and said, oh, I'm gonna be... It's no problem at all to get to level 40, or to level 36, and have to replay the entire freaking game just to get to the last race. Because no one did it. It's that simple. Anyways, back to our race, because I can't think of anything else that I really can think about on GT. Like, it was, or GT5, I mean. It was fun. Fun time. Back to our race on GT4, 68 out of 99 laps. We are just taking it nice and easy. We got a minute on the Alfa Romeo Giulia Sprint. Some 5,000 foot gap, which is pretty cozy. As they're going through going to the casino, going to the tunnel now. Excuse me, not casino. But yeah, and that's that pretty much. We're going to be stuck here for another little while. These tires are definitely lasting longer because we pitted in on lap 35 for tires on the mediums, and we're on the hards now. The rears are yellow. Fronts are still kind of a greenish color, and we don't have to pit in until they start turning red, or orange or red. Car starts to get worse at orange, you just pit in at red. So once they get red, you really can't drive on them at all. So this is not going to be a one-stopper. I don't think there's any way we're going to go another 30 laps on these tires alone. But I do think we're going to be all right. Like, we're going to make it on fuel. Like, no questions asked. Should probably be at like 40% or less in a few moments. But yeah, I would highly recommend GT5 though. Like, if you like the GT series, GT5 has problems, and problems that at release people really, really did not like. Like, it was definitely a flawed game. But that doesn't mean it's less than an 8 or an 8.5, even in my opinion. Like, it's still a fantastic game. Like, the driving feels good. The physics make sense. Like, it's not modern day racing simulators, but it does feel good on a wheel. Like, I've revisited it. It still holds up. And I'm startled to see that GT4 holds up, but GT5 holds up. Like, I wouldn't say it's a cut above. Like, I'd say that GT4 and GT5 drive pretty close, but GT5 is definitely does have a little bit more fidelity in driving experience because more wheels existed and were given support for those kind of games. Whereas GT4, like, the entire offering for force feedback is Logitech. And, like, I have a Thrustmaster wheel, so I can't do anything with that. Like, I'm locked out of heaven, effectively. But with this, definitely this wheel was made after GT5 was released, but Thrustmaster had compatible wheels for that system. Fanatec had compatible wheels for that system. So all it needed was drivers, effectively, and you were ready to go. I think the first wheel I did ever get, which was like a Thrustmaster non-FFB wheel, that one didn't have native support for GT5. I had to do some real jiggery pokery to get that one to work. But this Thrustmaster would work fine. No, it would register, it'd be in the sport wheels, it'd have its own button map, everything. Whereas for this, I'm telling it that it's a Logitech wheel, effectively. Yeah, car is holding up fantastic. We are probably going to be here closer to 4 hours in-game. I'm sure we're probably over an hour in actuality. Hour 5. But yeah. Oh, yes, that was the other thing I was talking about before I ran out of stuff to talk about with GT. But GT5, highly recommend, by the way, Jack. If you have the chance to get it, do it. If not, someone will be streaming it in the future or in the near future. I'm willing to guarantee that person might be me, but I'm not going to put that into existence until I know I can get my hands on a PS5 that can reliably make that happen. Back to the plot. 24 hours of spa. That went. Like I said, I qualified the car P40, and we had a dry start to the race. So we were getting real racy. And we were having a battle with some Ferrari, I think it was. It's either Ferrari or something else. All GT3 cars, by the way, I should mention that. We were having a battle with them. They just throw it up the inside to La Source, to the first corner, to turn 1. This is on like 5 or 6 laps in. They throw it up the inside. They feel very confident they're faster than us. I didn't defend the corner because I didn't feel like it was worth my time to try and battle people unless I absolutely knew I could get the position. What happens next is we all go through, we go down the hill, go through Eau Rouge, go up the hill, go through Radeon, and I get a run on them. They do something wrong or they check up or whatever the case is. But they are slower out of the exit of Radeon than I am, as we're on the top of the hill going down the straightaway. So naturally, I get a huge run, and like I could save fuel, I could lay back, I could do whatever. I have 24 hours to figure this out. It does not matter. However, I do still have people directly behind me. Like this is still very much a close race, and I'm not going to try and hemorrhage another position just to spite one. So I go for it. I throw up the inside. And like I do this with plenty of advance notice. I give them about 10, like 7, like, let me not exaggerate. I give them 5 seconds to react. So in 5 seconds on a straightaway, in racing terms, loads of time, plenty of time. So I'm trying to think about it from the camera's perspective. They're here. So yeah, what is it? They're here. Oh no, yeah, I had it right the first time actually. I had it right the first time. I get the run. They're here on the inside, because it's a right-hand corner coming up. So I am right behind them, using the draft. I slip out. I go to the left. So I'm on the outside now. And then they really start locking it down on me. So they're pushing me out. I'm like, okay, cool, this is fine. And then we break. I break at a safe point. They break a little bit ahead of me. That didn't even look great on the camera, but they get ahead of me. They don't clear me, but they get ahead of me. So we're still side by side going through this right-left corner. And then as we go through the left-hand part, they're really getting ahead. Like, really getting ahead. I don't have any overlap, but they haven't cleared me yet because I had overlap previously. And then they turn in to lock down the corner. I'm still very much on the inside. Like, I am right by the curb because I'm not trying to sit there and hit them when I have room on my left. So I'm all the way over to the left. And what happens? They come down, just... Actually, I did have it right the first time. They come in. They come out and just pinch themselves and just go off and just spin themselves out. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at the damn camera. I apologize. It'd be easier if I could draw a line. that I cannot do. And then they got really upset with me for this. They were very mad. They were messaging my team like, "Great job being patient, being an asshole, this, that, the third." They were fuming. And like my team was like basically taking up defense on my behalf, and I was a little worried about it because like I'm a mild-mannered guy. I was like, dang, I really hate that I ruined their race. I didn't believe I ruined their race. I kept on trucking like nothing happened because I kind of knew that even if it was my fault, I can't change it. Life happens. You go on. You race. But I did feel bad about it. And they're like, no, you did everything you could to give them room. And so, like, don't even worry about it. Like, don't trip. And then they're, like, still tripping. And then one of my teammates is just like, F off. Like, quit messing with us. And they're like, oh, great, we're going to report you or whatever. Some old BS. Like, I understand. You know, they have in their sporting code, they really don't want you cursing over voice chat or over text chat or whatever. So, like, if they're mad for reasons that are substantiated. But, honestly, they went right back and cursed at us, I think we can make it on fuel. Little bit of a delay there. My bad. My bad, y'all. My bad, team. It's a slow stop. Gonna put the softer tires back on again because we don't have to worry about getting to go to the end of the race, so why not? Anyways, get pinched. They spin out. My race is fine. Life goes on. But in the meantime, for this first stint, a lot of people are having similar moments to those where, like, someone got a little greedy or genuine racing incident happens, what have you. People are dying. And so, like, I'm not making a whole lot of on-track passes. I maybe got, like, 2 people on merit, plus that person who pitted themselves off of me. But effectively, when we come out of that first stint, we've made up 20 places. So we're up from P40 near the back of the pack out of 50 cars to 20th. So I'm super thrilled and pleased. Get in, do my next stint. Every stint's about an hour, and then hand it off to the next guy. And then we don't have rain for a while. And then you just keep on cycling through. I get back in. I have another stint where similar thing happens, and basically, I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but some guy basically, like, went defensive, and I went to the outside again, and they squeezed me as hard as they humanly could out to, I think they squeezed me out to the grass, but nothing else came of it. And it was really frustrating, but it was like whatever at that stage. Like, they were just racing stupid. Or we had a 0x contact, that's what it was. They also tagged me, but they did it while we were in the braking zone. And I think I also went off on the grass, but I didn't go on the grass fully. I just lost, like, you know, a few tenths. Oh, yeah, go back to fast forward. But yeah, just one of those things. And then we did get rain later. My teammates were largely driving the car when that happened. I was actually at work. I was gone because I had to clock in for work that day. And then I came back. We were probably still around P20, even though we had got up as high as P14 earlier. And then we just kept clawing it back as best we could. And I was in the car when the track was drying off. Like, the track was still wet, but drying off. And then effectively, I picked the point when we were going to go onto our slick tires again. Called it well, and had another great one. And then we were all starting to get fatigued at that point. One of my teammates was complaining of eye strain. I took over so he didn't have to do a double stint. And then I did one, and I was also really fatigued. Oh, no. Oh, no, this has gotten spicy. We're in second now. We spent too much time behind the Fiat. I wasn't even paying attention. Get him. Get him done. This is unacceptable. We are still behind the damn Fiat. This is unacceptable. Like, we have time, but we don't have that much time. Like, they might pit in again, they might not. Yeah, thank you. Thank you! Took long enough to get around freaking Fiat. I was so caught up. I was so confident. And then I heard the ding. We're gonna have to make sure he's faster. Like, there's no danger of us falling to third. Not at all, but... Gonna have to be careful. Come on, man. Close up that gap. You can do it. I believe in you. But yeah, much later in the race, picked that crossover point for the slicks. Track was pretty dry after that. We didn't have too many other moments. The one other thing that did happen is that one of our teammates basically had a small tangle with a lapped car. Who basically was like, "Yeah, I don't want to let you pass me. Like, I don't believe you're faster," and basically crashed both of them out. So that was fun. They got 10 minutes of damage. But that was my 24 hours of Spa, and I slept through the finish. I didn't even see the finish happen. But we ended up in 12th at the end of it. So we went from 40th to 12th over 24 hours. So not too bad. And we were in like split 13 of 28 or something. The third slot. Really wanted a top 10. Top 10 I think was on the cards, but just too much other stuff happened. But we had the pace to do 10th or better. Right, we're gonna need a miracle. We're gonna need a hero. That's ridiculous. I was literally paying such little amounts of attention that, like, oh, never mind. We got him on pits. Got him on pits. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna make it. I had a feeling that might happen, but I didn't want to bet on it happening, because then that would be the time when it didn't. Yeah, and I'm super proud of the team that we had. We were able to get that done really well. And you should be good on fuel, though. It did use quite a bit. Well, I also think we didn't take any fuel during the Paris race. And I also think we might not have taken any fuel. We might have taken fuel for Nürburgring. That was because I was unsure. Because it did get close. Like, I'd say that 20% or less, and you're not even 95% of the way there. That is a little concerning, but we're fine. Yeah, that's the crazy part, is that the car went 45 laps on the hard tires. 45 laps. If I had planned that well enough, it could have been very close to a one-stop. Would have had to start on the hard tires for sure. Ah, shit. It's gonna hurt. Would have had to start on the hard tires for that to make sense, but I was not really interested. I want to make sure that Bob had the pace, and I knew the tires would last long. Whew. Yikes. And now we come into our final 10%. It's been 3.5 hours in game time. I've been streaming for almost an hour 20, or for over an hour 20. I keep forgetting to turn them down when they get there. They're too confident on these tires. They're going to keep crashing. We can't have that. Whew. E is a calming gear. I might have to make sure I set that overtake. Yeah. As long as they're not freaking crashing into everything, I can honestly care less. Try and put them on cruise now. Okay, already made it around. Ah, I forgot to put them on one though. I'm an idiot. And then the Fiat comes up, our mortal enemy. Fiat scared me that I was going to lose this race. But that thing was so, like, I felt so bad for that little car on the Nürburgring. It was so badly outclassed. Just like the AC Cobra is way far out the class of everything else that will show up here. Shit. Yeah, I'm literally not even paying attention to the race at this point. Yeah, at any rate, I'm glad I did this B-Spec because, like, I think it was like 2.5 hours on the last one. It was. I have to go back and check that stream, but that VOD still exists on YouTube, so I'm pretty sure that one was like 2 hours 40 or close to. And mercifully, this one was only about an hour and a half, but still quite a lot to sit through. And it was one of those races where the B-Spec driver could win it on their own. So, like, I don't know if there's really a reason for me to do the last one, in large part. Like, I might do a stint, just for my own enjoyment and benefit, and then just let the B-Spec driver do the rest and pretend like I have 4 people. Anyways, we just have 3 more laps. Come on, 3 laps. It's all we need. I almost said 4 more. We have a 30-second gap. Just need to defend it. Blah, blah. Defend it for 3 more laps. I hope this MF gets better, because he's still driving like crap. $45 laps on one tire. 45 tires on that. That'd be a lot. But 45 laps on one tire and still making it through. But I think that's not the pace we need. Like, I'm genuinely convinced I could have been like 205s, if not lower. Like, I feel like it's one of those things where I could be near as 10 seconds a lap faster. Like, maybe even 2 seconds faster than their best lap. I will say it does take me a while to get locked into where the pace is at, though, on here. It's a little bit less intuitive to really see where the grip limit is at. Because it feels like you can push a lot of the sports tires way further than you think you can. Like, there's much less consequences for hitting oversteer in GT4. So, like, for me, it's like kind of finding where the game is happy with you kind of going over the limit. Because, like, you can still be fast and go over the limit in, like, GT5, GT6, GT7, GT Sport. But, like, they penalize you more now for having those moments, especially on sports tires. As opposed to comforts, I should say. Alright, final lap. Final lap. Coming to the line. How is he going to do? Can he make it? Boom. No A-Spec points to be spoken of. 3 hours and 42 minutes later. Yikes, that took a while. Even in my brain, I feel like it took a long time, so we're almost at 1:30. Alright, so we're on 30 points. The Alfa Romeo in second is on 18. 10 and 10 for the Marcus and the Carmagia. I had it wrong, actually. The S800 is now on 7. It's another 150 large for us. That is pretty wild, if you ask me. Oh, I didn't realize I hit the brake pedal. That's right, the brake pedal is a back button. Yes, I shall start here when I return. Because, like, at least they have mid-championship saving. That's cool. That's a good feature. But yeah. The thing is that this is like if you don't have a license, like if you have zero desire, 100% aversion to get any license at all, this is the strategy to get a lot of money. Is you get an old car or you get the Jannetta G4 from your playthrough because it's a prize car, and then you basically either scum this championship until you don't get a AC Cobra like I did. Or you tune this thing up massively so that it's worse on tires and you can close that gap. Which is still hard to do because when I started the championship, I certainly didn't have 400,000 credits. But you know what? I did have 20,000. So that was something. I was able to put some money into tuning the car. Anyways, I think that's going to go ahead and do it for us today. Thank you guys for stopping by for our little GT5 rant and our Spa 24-hour recap. And of course, most importantly, our GT4 race where we got a little bit further on. See what our completion percentage is actually before we go. I think since there isn't anyone else doing GT4, we won't worry about raiding. See if maybe any of my friends are on. And if that's the case, then I'll go check out what they're doing. Might go ahead and take our Twitch side over and raid our friend GT Eddie. But yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in. It's really been a fun time. So I'm hopeful that we can get a little further. We can make some more progress. I don't know if I'm going to be back this week. I'm probably going to be off for a while. I have a whole race thing that I'm preparing for. If I do show up again, I will be back on Thursday, likely with GT7 or with iRacing. But if not, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. It's been my pleasure again, putting on stream for you. So take care, race fair, and I'll be seeing you next time. Oh, the raid did not go through. Hold on a second. Go ahead and put my finger on the button in the meantime. Take care, guys.